Initially, you start Visual Studio C# 2010 Express, Pro, or Ultimate. Click on File, New Project. Open up Windows Game, XNA Game Studio 4.0. Then type in Pong2011 or a name of your own choosing. To modify the screen so that the font is smaller, I go to Tools, Options. I select Fonts and Colors, Plain Text, and then I can modify the size. So I'm going to shrink this down to 12. I believe that'll be big enough. And this allows us to see much of the screen that we want to see. I have the default game in place. I now begin to add classes and other objects to the game. Let's add the ball class now. So I right click, add, new item, class. Call the class ball, B-A-L-L.cs. Click add. By doing this, you've added a class that includes the namespace. If you don't follow this process and you type in or create a class using a text file, then you need to remember to add the other things such as using. Now I know we're going to need a using called Microsoft.x small a dot framework semicolon. It just enters in that information. And remember, we're using code snippets, so now I can select class ball, right click, insert snippets, my code snippets, quick XNA snippets, and then ball class. This adds the code but not the necessary using. If we hadn't put in the Microsoft.xna.framework class, then point would have a squiggly under it. Now let's add the paddle class. New item. Class again, but this time change class 1 to paddle. Add, and now we have our paddle class. I'm not going to add the XNA code, Microsoft.xna.framework yet. We're going to type in Pong paddle, and so instead of going through the right-click insert code snippets, I've titled these in such a way that I can simply type this in, hit 2 tabs, and the code is entered. Now I understand we haven't talked about the code, but this is about getting your software functional. Now, what I want you to do is select these 3 lines, type in using Microsoft.xna small a framework semicolon, and watch what happens. The squigglies go away. Okay, now we have added the ball class as well as the paddle class. Okay, now that we have the paddle class and the ball class, we now need to add our content. Earlier, as we did in class, we created some items that we're going to add. So click on Add Existing Items. And now you need to navigate to where your pictures are at for this. And I have some pictures in Pong. And so I'm going to select the 3 images, ball, 2 paddles. Okay, those have been added and I can use them. I can use them as assets. The assets would be called ball, paddle 1, paddle 2. We'll see how to do that in just a few minutes. Now switch to game1.cs. Move down to the top of the class, and now type in Pong if you're using the snippets, and double tab, and we have added our variables. We'll come back and talk about these variables later. This video is just to show you how to get things entered. The next thing that you need to do is add reset game. Now you don't have this as a method yet, but you will. So you have a squiggly line. We're just doing this ahead of the game, so to speak. Alright, we see here that we have a squiggly line, And what this is indicating to us is there's probably two variables. Let's just go ahead and right-click on Sprite Batch and go to Definitions. And sure enough, we see here that in my code snippets I had added an extra Sprite Batch. So now I'm going to go back down here, and we'll see the squiggly's gone. Now we're in our load content, so now I need to do my Pong, and I need to figure out which one, Pong content. Double tab again, and we've added the code. Now we need to move down to, ignoring the unload content for this particular game, we're going to go down here to Update and add the update code. Double tab, and there we go. Now we have three methods. Just like the reset method calls, we need to add these methods. So we'll come down here, and between this brace and this brace, I'm going to put our cursor, and now we're going to type in Pong update, and we'll put in our update. Oops, that's for the update code, so we'll do that again, Pong, and we want to put in our update ball, which maps to that method call. And we want to put in our Pong update paddles. And we want to put in our Pong reset. And we have one more we need to check for collision. So we'll put in Pong and check for collision. Double tab. And we haven't gone over the code yet, but we will, but not in this video. And we can see we have no more squigglies here, and we should see the reset gain is also has no squigglies as well in our initialize. Here, no squigglies. Now we need to draw our stuff. If we ran our program, it would run, but we would just get a blue screen because the draw component is not complete at this time. So I come down here to my draw method, and I don't need this to do code here. I'm going to type in Pong, and now I want to put in my draw code, which makes no sense, and then select this line. We're not using the sprite blend mode, and remove that. And now, if we click run, we should have a nice little Pong game running here. And hopefully you can see it on your screen. If not, we'll delete that part. And so you can use your cursor. If you have a wired controller, you can throw it on here and use your wired Xbox controller. They're about $25. And they don't need any batteries. That's what's kind of cool about them. But on the other hand, you got the cables running around. That's it for Pong2011. This will run on Windows. If you generate it, compile it for Xbox, it would also run on the Xbox.